Hey there, everybody, and welcome to the Android Central Podcast. It's episode number 90 for Thursday, March 22nd, 2012. Now, I'm Phil Nickinson. I'm your host for the podcast and the editor of AndroidCentral.com. And I'm very proud this week to have returned to you from our week of laziness last week, let's face it. It was really nice out. It was like the first week of spring here in Florida. It's like the only week of spring we get here in Florida. In fact, spring is already over. I think we've pretty much just entered summer now. It's already starting to get hot. That's no good. And I thought I was going to get sick, and I was sick for like a day. So we're back. We're ready. I'm feeling good. We got the chat room. The chat room is here, and we got mostly all of your regular cast of characters. We have Jerry Hildenbrand from the site.
Howdy, everybody.
And we got Corey Streeter from the Android Central Forums.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
And calling us all the way from Mars for you folks actually watching this video at home, Alex Doby.
Hey, everyone.
That makes sense. There it is, as soon as he pops up. Dude, why are you so red? What's up? Not just
I don't know. I need to mess with my white balance.
That is, that is very, very red. I'm going to try not to make Martian jokes all night, I guess. Which I probably shouldn't do anyway. So how's everybody? We haven't talked in a couple weeks. Sorry we took the week off last week, but it's probably going to happen more often when we hit the summer silly season. We call it the summer schedule because it's just so nice out, and you're like, you know what? Not a lot going on. We're just going to take the week off. So I don't know. What you guys been up to? How's everybody?
Pretty good.
I'm fine, Phil. How are you?
Okay. I reviewed the Galaxy Blaze 4G, so I got that out from under me, which is good. How are you, Corey? Doing all right?
I've been better.
Yeah? Sorry, man.
No,
That's it. That's your podcast. That's your downer podcast. Returning from the week off. No, so I reviewed the Galaxy Blaze 4G. I've got it sitting here somewhere. Here it is. I tell you what. On one hand, I'm like, you know what? This doesn't have the latest specs, and you shouldn't expect it to be awesome, but it kind of is. I mean, I'm not going to call it awesome, but it's not horrible. It's not, the worst. It's not the best phone. It's decent, and it's been a long time since I've seen like a mid-range phone that was decent.
Hold it up again.
All right. So this is it. It's got a 480 by 800 screen. It's 4 inches, and I tell you, it's nice going back to a 4-inch phone. I'm a little done with 4.7-inch phones. And I say that knowing full well that I will probably buy the damn HTC One X when it comes out on AT&T. But I'm kind of digging the 4-inch phones again. I think that's big enough. Or I think it's small enough. The resolution, though, 480, that's tough to go back to. It's not a bad resolution. I mean, it's not like you're going down to a 320 by 240 screen or something ridiculous like that. But man, you can really tell the difference going from 720 to.
So how's it going back to gingerbread? That's my question, because I reviewed the Xperia S this week, and my big problem with that phone was that they release it as a high-end device at mid to end March, and
right.
it's running gingerbread, right? There are all the things in gingerbread that kind of bug people.
Yeah, that's really tough going back to, and you're in the same boat that I am, having used ice cream sandwich on the Galaxy Nexus. But that said, we've been using it on the Galaxy Note, and nobody complained quite as much, right?
Yeah, but I think in a lot of ways Samsung does a pretty good job with gingerbread. There's a lot in there that they add on top of it, and Samsung has a way better browser than most other people.
Yeah, this is a Samsung phone with gingerbread. It's just bizarre that they're calling it a Galaxy S phone. And maybe I'm reading too much into that, and consumers won't care, and that's probably true. I tell you, I had a big fail in my little app I use to give me like specs actually from the phone today. So I went through half the review thinking it was a single core phone, and that's my fault for trusting the app. But I mean, it's not slow. It's dual core 1.5 gigahertz. It's got a gig of RAM. You've got like 400 left over for the apps. Yeah, no big deal. It is not a bad entry. I'm going to call it an entry level device. So here's my question: 1.5, talking specs only. 1.5 gigahertz, dual core, gingerbread, 480 by 800 screen, 4 inches, super AMOLED, $150. Is that too much? Because I came into this thinking it was too much money, and I think I might be wrong.
The only thing different from the Galaxy S2 on T-Mobile you mentioned is screen size.
Right.
Is 150 too much for the Galaxy S2?
And thickness. This thing is definitely thicker than the Galaxy S2.
Oh.
And the Galaxy S2 on T-Mobile is $200. I looked it up today. $229. Now the other big difference here, Jerry, and actually the Galaxy S2 has this, same as the Blaze, is 42 megabits per second, and that's the big thing that T-Mobile and Samsung are trying to sell you on with this phone, is that it has access to that fast, lane of T-Mobile data. And I tell you, I don't have 42 megabits per second here where I live. And in fact, the people sending us the phone are like, hey, we realize you don't have our badass network where you live, but, should still be all right. And I tell you, it'd been a while since I'd done like a T-Mobile speed test here. I was getting 8, 9 down, and I'm perfectly happy with that on, for HSPA, or HSPA Plus, whatever it is now. That's fine. Perfectly fine.
Pricing wise, too, I think you kind of hit it on the head from the beginning. There's going to be a lot of people that walk in and see the 4-inch screen. And how big is the Galaxy S2 again? It's like 4.5. That one's a little bit.
Yeah. What is that with Jerry? Is it 4.5?
Yeah, 4.5.
Yeah, that's a big difference to a lot of people, especially if they're coming from an iPhone or another phone that's got a smaller screen size. They look at that and they think, "Oh my gosh, that's huge!" So they're probably willing to pay the same price.
It's real nice having something you can hold in your hand. Now, the only real time I'm noticing that difference is when I'm typing. And granted, I'm using different keyboards all over the place right now, but man, it feels good in the hand. It feels good to be back down to a smaller phone like that, even if it is a little thicker, and that really doesn't bother me. I still think the race to thin has done more harm than good. The Galaxy Nexus was one. The Droid Razr was another, where you can get away with actually being a tad bit thicker than you think.
Has it got a bigger battery?
Here's the deal about the battery. So you open this one up, and and I say this after I screwed up a spec today in the review, and I hate that. That is horrendous and not good. On the battery, it says 1750 milliamp hours right here. We'll hold it up to the camera. Maybe you can see it. Maybe you can't. On the spec list on the website, it says 1850. Now, we're talking 100 milliamp hours. That's not exactly a huge difference, but it's like, really? All right, one of us is wrong. Which one is it? I'm going to go by what the battery says, because I'm sitting here holding it in my hand, and typos happen to everybody. But so, no, you're not getting a lot more out of the battery, than you would, or at least as far as capacity, than you do in most any other phone out there. But I tell you what, this is not bad. I would recommend, if you haven't watched it, go watch my front-facing video demo. When I said I would give this phone to my mom, or I would give this phone to your mom. I might have already given this phone to your mom. You might want to go check.
I'll bet you did.
Yeah. I would have no problem giving this phone to my mother. I really would. And my mom actually has an Epic 4G. For those of you playing at home.
I'm curious, does it feel zippier than the Galaxy S2? It seems like anytime you bump the screen size up above 4 inches, it starts feeling kind of pokey.
I really don't know. I haven't used that in so long, and Jerry's the one who has one. But I'm strangely excited about this phone. I mean, I shouldn't be, right? It's not new. It's not ice cream sandwich.
Why should you be?
I know. That's what I'm thinking. Like I'm sitting here like, I should hate this phone. I should not like it. But here's what else it has, all right? It's got Wi-Fi Direct sort of built in. Jerry and I were talking about this today. And it's just bizarre because when you turn on Wi-Fi Direct, it pops up and says, hey, you can scan for Wi-Fi Direct devices, but you can't actually do anything with them, which, I suppose it's just a software thing. It's got NFC. It's got tethering. But this has just, what is this missing? I feel like I'm missing something. It's just.
To me, it sounds like
know if it's going to get
phone in a size that I'd like.
One at a time, boys and girls. Yeah, no, Jerry's right, except for ICS. And, a higher resolution screen, but let's get over that because it has what it has. Yeah, like what else is it missing? Alex is right. Will it get ICS? I don't know. And it's a really odd time for a phone to be announced and released and not be on the track to get ice cream sandwich. Have we seen a list of T-Mobile devices? AT&T put out, a list today, and Verizon's put out their list, and we've seen HTC do their list, and Samsung. Has Samsung really done a list?
They have for international stuff. I don't think they have for the US.
Yeah, and the US is such a crapshoot. Expect to hear from the kids. Man, yeah, no. I think if I had to recommend a phone to a civilian, and remember, I lovingly call normal people who don't obsess about this crap like we as civilians. This might be the phone I recommend maybe even over the Galaxy S2, just because the price, $150 or $230. Mentally, that's a big difference.
And there's nothing wrong with gingerbread.
I wouldn't go that far.
But I mean, you could do a lot worse than gingerbread with TouchWiz, put it that way.
Yes.
Yeah. Gingerbread on a Samsung phone isn't that bad.
No.
So that's it for the Blaze, I guess. Go read the review. Watch the front-facing camera. So I do my little monologue. What do the kids call it? They call it vlogging when you just talk to a camera. That's what I've started doing for my camera test now. I'm just going to tell you about the phone. I didn't even do another hands-on with it. I just republished the hands-on from Mobile World Congress because really not a lot more to say. It's like, here it is. It's basic. It's simple. But damned if it doesn't work. And it's got a buttload of apps on it that are actually pretty useful. It's got a file manager. It's got all the T-Mobile stuff you're used to. It's got Lookout already on there. It's got... actually, I guess one thing I meant to mention is that it does, in fact, launch with the Android market, and then it will update itself, which is that's going to confuse people. I hope maybe this will be an older ROM, and they'll have that flashed by the time it comes out in a week. But no, I guess not, because you can actually buy it in select stores today, whatever those are. Then it will be everywhere the 28th, I think.
So it goes from market to play.
Yes. Yep. We're still getting emails every day. Oh, where'd it go? I don't know.
I do that every time I pick up my phone. I'm still naturally go to the market, try to find the market icon.
I do too. Are you guys doing it, Jerry? Fess up.
Yep. I look for a market every damn time.
Yeah. It actually takes me about 5 seconds to realize. I'm like, geez.
It's tough. People are giving us a hard time because we're putting Android market and striking through it in posts, and part of that's just me being a dick, but part of that's serious. I mean,
you be a dick? Never.
No. I mean, the other end of that is this is a huge rebranding thing, and it's either I do that or I put in a clause by itself, which formerly was known as the Android market, and that gets boring real quick. So everybody needs to relax. People are in a weird mood this week.
People are mad about rumors as well. Should we talk about rumors?
Yeah, let's talk about rumors. So there have been, by last count, 732 different Samsung Galaxy S3 renders leaked.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Sounds about right. We've had 4 in the past week, which is kind of crazy in itself. I don't know where they're all coming from.
We've been saying, well, half of them have looked like the Galaxy S Wi-Fi 4.2. When you go back and look at it, it's like, you know what? That looks exactly like what I held in my hand in Spain. And I'm pretty sure it is. Oh, wait. I did. Nobody watches this show, so I think I can show you guys. I did get a new device today. Jerry, should I show this to him? Maybe?
Yeah, show him.
Here it is.
Show him.
Oh, Lord. Jeez.
That was my daughter's My Little Pony unicorn thing.
Oh.
I don't know what to think anymore. I really don't. So we saw a new one today that looks more like a phone.
It looks real, yeah. I'm guessing that thing is real and the rest is all just garbage, to be honest. The thing we saw today looks like an actual device that's not just someone holding a camera up to a monitor that has a Photoshop thing on it.
Right. But I also don't think it's the Galaxy S3.
No, I don't think it is either. But it's something, and the fact that we've got a buttonless...
it might be some sort of hardware prototype. It's just
maybe
that's not Samsung sexy.
No, it isn't, and I think, but I mean, we can kind of discern a few things about it. The fact it's got a buttonless front on it kind of means that if some device, even if it's a mid-range device, has no buttons, probably the Galaxy S3 is going to have no buttons as well. If we're looking at TouchWiz, very similar to what we've got on the Galaxy S2, chances are TouchWiz isn't really going to change that much. So we can kind of look at a few things that are on there and maybe draw a few conclusions about Galaxy S3.
Nonsense.
I've been hanging out in the,
it's going to come with a.
No, go ahead.
It's going to come with a flexible display that reaches from edge to edge and print money, and it's going to be 6 inches Super AMOLED HD plus HD plus plus.
So I've been hanging out
on the
in
internet.
HTC One forums the past couple days, and people are really kind of worried about the physical buttons on those versus not having physical buttons. And I bring that up because we saw this leak today without physical buttons, and I keep thinking back to our time with the One X and the One S, the Mobile World Congress. And Alex, can you think back that far? Do you think that's really going to be people? Well, no, I mean, look, we see a lot of phones in between then. So
yeah, I think the only thing that maybe bothers me about that is the way that it handles stuff that needs the menu key. And if you don't know, we managed to sneak something onto a demo units and check the way this works at MWC. And what it does is it actually cuts a portion off the bottom of the screen. It takes the bottom few pixels and turns it into a menu key. So you actually lose some real estate on the screen when you're running an app that needs menu key functionality. I think that's going to kind of piss a lot of people off when they first get this phone. So unless it's working differently in the finished hardware, I guess we'll have to see how that works. That's the only thing that bothers me about the way HTC's done their button setup.
Well, but no, because you and I went back to the Google booth and we played with that.
Yeah, we did.
And you end up getting just a weird little menu thing that pops up. But I mean,
that's
pretty
what I think
obvious
is going to annoy people, yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you're using an app that is an ICS app, suddenly you've lost a portion of your screen.
True. I'm going to play with the little pony for a minute.
Oh, jeez. I'm so glad we're not using those as forum icons anymore.
I asked my daughter, I said, Mia, can I borrow Princess Celestia? I know the name, by the way, for the podcast. She says, sure. Do you want the hair clips in or out? I said, oh, in, obviously. Yeah, I mean, the leaks and the rumors are getting ridiculous. And I know there are rumors about, or people tried to, put 1 and 5 together and come up with blue. And, supposedly a May 22nd event in London. I have no idea where any of that's come from. I mean, that's just such speculation.
Yeah, and it's possible. The timing would be right, but again, where did that come from? It came from a render which is in most likelihood fake.
Right. It came from a date on the calendar widget.
Yeah.
On a render we're all pretty sure is fake. So when you hear me get exasperated about this stuff, this is why. It's not that we don't like rumors. We absolutely do.
And it came from the site that invented You Mad Bro.
Oh, yeah.
Reddit, didn't it?
And it's tiring. Is what it is. It really is. We'll see it soon enough, and it'll be magical. It'll be spectacular, and it'll also be meh, because then everyone's going to say, "Oh, that's it," and then we'll all get excited again as we get closer to launch. I mean, this is how these things work. So it ebbs and flows. It comes and goes.
Well, for sure they're working on something, right?
Yes.
There is a next Galaxy.
Well, sure. Of course they're coming out with something. I tell you who's really excited right now are the Sprint people. Sprint folks are really excited between the Galaxy Nexus finally going to come out eventually. Nobody knows when. There's some Sprint site, I guess people who work for Sprint, they're tracking 4G launches or something, have on good record with somebody who they don't name, and I don't know their track record, but supposedly we'll see the Galaxy Nexus be announced April 15th, and the One X come out in June. I think it's it. Maybe it's the other way around. I forget
something
which.
like that. No, I think you had it right.
I don't know. I don't know that site. I don't know the people. Sure. Sounds good to me. I mean, Jerry and I were talking about this the other day. What if Sprint announces, it says, all right, we're going to put out the Galaxy Nexus. Enough's enough. We're going to put it out, only it's just LTE won't work yet. Is that okay, or is that horrible?
That's horrible, and I don't see that happening.
And here's why.
Sprint saying,
and I believe Jerry here.
Yeah, here's the same phone you can buy on another network, but their network is better than ours. That's all that says.
Right.
But there's going to be a lot of people when Sprint first launches LTE. They're not going to be able to get it. Probably the vast majority of their customer base.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So it's going to be the same for them regardless.
I wonder when I'm going to get AT&T LTE now. I'm starting to think a lot about this. So I've got Verizon. It works fine. AT&T's actually doing decent with the launches. They announced a bunch of new cities the other day, including like Sarasota, or something down in south of Tampa, which is a long way from here. But I'm curious to see how they really start building that up. I think they're supposed to be done by the end of 2013 or whatever. But I don't know. It's getting weird. It really is. We'll see what Sprint does. They got 7 cities announced now. Something like that. Maybe 11. How many?
I think a Sprint customer would just be happy to get one. I don't know.
Yes. Well, the Galaxy Nexus is still a really good phone. I mean, except for the camera. Oh, man. Did you guys hear me kind of railing about that? After
The
yesterday?
panoramic stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So I go out we have a Civil War fort here, several actually, and take the wife and kids out there. And I hadn't been out there since, at least 2004, since hurricanes just ravaged it. And so we go out there, and I'm taking a bunch of cool panoramic shots, and it's like, all right, you take it, and it takes a minute to actually sit there and rotate yourself and take the things. But then they were just taking forever to process, and I don't remember Samsung phones and Motorola phones taking that long to process them. So I figure, all right, it's processing. It says it's processing. I hit the power button, put it back in my pocket, and they all disappear, gone. I'm a little sad. Do the other apps?
You have to remember that Samsung and Motorola are using
I know.
licensed technology from other people.
Right. And you know what? There's another answer why Nexus isn't always the reason, or Nexus isn't the answer. People like to give us a hard time, Corey. You don't understand. Your answer is always buy a Nexus. No, that's not always the answer. It's the answer to a lot of problems. And even then, Jerry and I now have to say, buy a GSM Nexus. Burn. CDMA burn. So what else?
I love my Nexus.
I do too. I like it a lot. Except for the big scratch I managed to get on it in my pocket.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, on the way over to Mobile World Congress. I get out of the cab and pull it out. I'm sitting there with Simon saying, just like, where did this come from? It's been in my pocket for the past 10 hours on an airplane. I have no idea.
That's the worst feeling in the world.
Samsung needs to make you a phone that's made out of titanium and Gorilla Glass inside a Gorilla Glass case.
It's weird because it's kind of the same sort of little scratches, although this one somehow got bigger or something, that I got on the Infuse. And I don't know. I'm hoping HTC needs to do me good here. I'm making no bones about it. I'm excited about the HTC One line. I really came away from Spain excited about that, and I'm torn. I was telling Jerry earlier. So I did some speed tests for the Blaze, and I haven't done any T-Mobile. I can't remember the last T-Mobile phone I did here. Might have been the Amaze back in October, and I mean, traditionally, I've had pretty bad T-Mobile service here at home. I'm getting 8 megabits down now, which for me is awesome.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Like 8 down, 2 up, maybe. It's not bad at all. So I might have to reconsider, and I tell you, I can't wait to hear what you guys think about the 1S when you play with that, because it's sexy. It's just thin, and
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to that phone.
I might have to open a line.
Do you
guys want to talk?
go back to? Do you reckon you can go back to QHD? Because that's the big thing with the S that it's probably the deal breaker for me.
That's the big trade-off, right? And you know what? Maybe that's in the middle enough where I'd be okay. I think.
Not me, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to go backwards. I mean, you adjust, I guess, after a few days, but after looking at the Galaxy Nexus, that'd be a tough switch. Even going down to 4 inches, I used to be like, I never want anything bigger than 4 inches, but you get used to that real estate and watching videos on it, and
right.
Yeah. So
I played Angry Birds Space today, and it was actually quite nice in the Galaxy Nexus. The game itself, it's Angry Birds in space with more gravity, and that was kind of a pain. But yeah, having the big screen is nice.
Although, if you're an app developer, please start putting out apps that take advantage of the screen resolution, please.
So here's my question. And we have the Galaxy Nexus still. We know what's coming out from HTC, over the next couple months probably. Oh, and by the way, Sprint and we should have mentioned this before. Sprint and HTC have an event April 4th. I will be there. I think we got a few of us going actually. So I'm really excited for the HTC stuff. I'm kind of worried about what Motorola might do. So I guess we saw leak out from China the body of what's supposed to be the Verizon Motorola Fighter, which obviously has a larger screen and is ice cream sandwich because it doesn't have capacitive buttons. Do you think they're going to do something different on the software end? I'm just not sure I can take yet another iteration of the Motorola UI. I kind of want something different for them. I kind of want a different design. I mean, it's like, all right, it's more of the same. I get it already. It's nice. It's good. I mean, it really is. And that's not to say it's not nice and it's not good, because it is. But more, really? I need something friendlier. I think, and that's maybe my biggest complaint about stock ice cream sandwich, is that it's very robotic. And that's what they were going for. I kind of want something a little friendlier.
Sounds like you want sense.
Yeah.
That's why they make all these different UIs for different people.
I thought they made them to slow it down and to make updates slower.
Motorola does need to do a refresh, though. It's getting a little old. It's been the same thing since the beginning. The icons, they barely change every time they come out, and I don't know. They look a little dated to me. Everything looks a little bit dated.
It's almost like, do you think the UI is pushing the marketing, or is the marketing pushing the UI at this point? Like, all those high production Verizon commercials. Do you think Motorola looks at them and says, we got to keep doing this industrial sort of line that the nerds are going to like, and it's powerful, and it's sharp?
Man, I don't know.
Why you ask hard questions, Phil?
Sorry.
It's
summertime.
That's a bad decision to make.
I'm sure it can't. Oh, God, the cops are coming.
Every week. Sorry.
I don't know. And I really do like. I'm sitting here playing with Galaxy Nexus instead of looking up the camera like I should be. But yeah, it's. I don't know. Maybe as complaints come and go in waves, so do mine. So do my tastes. Maybe I'm ready to go back to something a little more friendly, a little lighter.
I would think that most, I hear talk about physical buttons and all that kind of stuff. I would think it would cost them more to develop around the stock ICS than, it doesn't seem like a strategy that a company would go for, is doing that kind of thing.
I just want.
I don't know about the hard. Go ahead, Phil.
No, you got.
I was gonna say I don't know about the hardware difference cost. I'm sure you're right that putting capacitive buttons on costs more, but luckily they've made Android easy enough. It's just a couple settings when you build it, and it can use either way.
Oh yeah.
So good on Google for that. But you're correct. It's going to take more engineering and more money to build a phone with those buttons than without.
Yeah.
Well, and as Black Man X reminds us in the chat room, and it's something I've said over and over again, the manufacturers are not making these things in a vacuum. The carriers are the ones who say, here's what we want.
Yep.
Mm.
I don't know. You want to talk about any more ICS updates? The Vivid for AT&T got them. AT&T put a big list. It's a big list of what all's getting them. Jerry, anything surprising on that list?
No. I mean, I was surprised at the two that were omitted: the Infuse and the Inspire.
Well, here's why the Infuse isn't on that list. The Infuse has been getting its Gingerbread update for the past month and a half now.
Well,
in fact, I checked back yesterday. I haven't checked today, but there's that one's still on hold. So they started pushing it, and a few people got it, and then something happened, and it's still in limbo. So that's why that's not on there.
And the Inspire is just a Desire HD, and that's getting ICS, so it makes that's very, very strange.
So
like, it is almost
get that.
literally the same hardware that AT&T has for the Inspire.
Could be a matter of time.
And Infuse is just, I mean, if the Captivate Glide can get it, the Infuse can get it.
I still like the Infuse. It's what I took to Spain.
And let's be honest, almost everything released in the past year should be able to get it. There's no hardware reason. It's all about other concerns that they have, I guess.
Right. It sucks. And I can't believe that it's taken a month to get the damn Gingerbread update. A month.
That's crazy.
Since they started pushing.
Yeah, that's really bad.
AT&T Thrill 4G just got Gingerbread today. Launched on Froyo at the end of last year.
Yeah.
A 3D phone gets Gingerbread before the Infuse does. Just saying.
But this isn't unexpected, right? I mean, this has been going on with Samsung since the beginning. They're really slow at pushing. And is it them or is it the carriers?
Don't know.
In Europe, you get things pretty quickly, right?
Well, just look at the Thrill. The Optimus 3D got, which is pretty much the same phone again, got Gingerbread in November. AT&T's version, you're waiting an extra 4 months. So probably the carrier side in that particular case.
But that said, and we get not a day goes by where we don't get emails that says, all right, where the hell's ice cream sandwich for my Nexus S 4G? Or the T-Mo Nexus S started to get it, and then it stopped.
Boom.
I understand things happen, and maybe they're trying to cram in more like really good stuff in between. Our pal Blackman X, who's in the chat room here now, the other night, gave hints to Android 4.0.5, and I was giving him a hard time saying, well, so what? That ain't nothing but a number. And little fixes are good, but man, I mean, this has really soured a lot of people's understanding of the Nexus line. And on one hand, I absolutely agree. If you get Nexus, the understanding was you would be getting updates first, and then you start seeing all these other devices start to get them. But it's really, it's really different. And this is me and my understanding, and probably not quite the truth, but developing for a Nexus is different than developing for the Transformer Prime, and is different than developing for the Motorola or the HTC Sensation line. And it's apples and oranges at the end of that.
Well, see, I'm at a loss how this whole thing's working, and that's my disappointment with Google, is that nobody knows how it's working. Before I busted my Galaxy or my Nexus S, if I would reset it to stock and start it up, I'd have Ice Cream Sandwich there waiting, bugging me to download it every time. Whatever happened, it never stopped happening on mine, and I'm not alone. Other people the same way. Some people claim they never got it. Then you have the AT&T version and the Sprint version that don't know what happened there. There's all sorts of rumors and nonsense, but the rumors all point to Samsung is handling the updates for those, and then you have people saying no, that's wrong. It's just nobody knows what's going on, and that's that's what gets people ticked off. I think is we have no clue what's happening.
The common denominator is they all have different networks and technologies they have to deal with too. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We've gotten a couple emails and voicemails asking about that, saying how they want us to explain it a little bit better. But it's not that. I mean, Jerry, help me out here. Is it that the radio technology itself is proprietary to each network, or that it's just so different developing for a device that runs on 850, 900, or 1900 megahertz versus something that runs on whatever Sprint's frequencies are? And
there's the radio itself and some of the, I'm looking for a word, that bridges the radio to the software. That's not open, and Google can't develop that. That needs Samsung and probably carrier input and everything else. They got something done for the T-Mobile version, the 9023, and the AT&T version. I don't know what's going on with that. The Sprint version, they had something done, and we saw a leak of it, and it was really bad. I mean, the radio on it was just absolutely horrible. And after the leak, we didn't hear anything. When you get to the radio and some of that low-level stuff, I mean, Google's hands are tied. They can't do that. I don't know where it all comes from, but that's part of the thing earlier this year, Google's, they didn't stop supporting CDMA, but officially now there's only the T-Mobile branded, and I hate to say T-Mobile branded, but
right.
That Nexus S and the Yakju model of the Galaxy Nexus and the Wi-Fi Zoom are the only phones that they officially fully support, in that way. But that leaves us, we don't know what's going on with the others again. So I have no idea. And that's the part that kills me, because everybody asks us, and I don't know what to tell them. It's a big word that I don't want to say here on, live on a family show. It's messed up.
Well, and at the same time, you have the Verizon Galaxy Nexus that has a higher point version than the GSM ones. And I understand
that's easy to explain, though.
Right.
The Galaxy Nexus on Verizon needs fixes that the GSM version doesn't. They're not going to bundle all those fixes into every version until they update the version for the GSM. That's not a big deal. It's always been that way.
And as I explained in the post on Blackman Nexus 4.0.5 thing, there were HTC phones that we saw at Mobile World Congress last year that had Android, was it 2.4, that nobody else has gotten ever. So when you see these point releases, I know it's tough, and you see them, and theirs is newer, it's higher. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's newer whenever the build is compiled, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're missing out on something.
And Jack Mabry in the chat room brings up a really good point before we get too far away. Will the Sprint G Nex have upgrades that the others don't have? Yes.
Guarantee you.
When the Sprint version comes out, it's going to need special something done in the software for Google Voice integration, Google Wallet. It's going to probably be a completely different build number, and it'll probably be one higher than whatever everybody else has. But it's not a big deal. I don't need fixes for Google Voice MMS integration because my phone can't do it.
I'm going to get tired of talking about this real soon, at which point I will start yelling at Google, perhaps. But
and quite frankly, Verizon's priority is probably not updating the Galaxy Nexus. Their priority is signing up new customers and selling whatever they have. It doesn't matter if it works. Then they probably don't have resources focusing on doing updates. They probably have resources focusing on signing up new people.
Yeah. At some point, I wish I could do more. People yell at us for not yelling at Google. What do you want us to do? Google, we demand you release something that's not yet ready to your satisfaction, because it's yours and not ours.
Root it and go get yourself one.
Well, you know the difference? Remember how long we waited to get Gingerbread on the Nexus 1?
Yes.
And a lot of people were freaking out. But Google came forward and they said they're having issues with the graphics driver. They're going to work on it. They don't want to release it until it's done well. Boy, I was completely satisfied with that.
Yeah.
Let's do the same thing here.
And transparency goes a long ways. I would prefer that they come out and once a month and be like, hey, you know what? We're working on it. Sorry it's taking so long. We're absolutely still working on it. Maybe even say, here's some of the things we're working on. Just transparency can help calm the masses. I have learned. That's what I recommend.
We've been saying that for 10 years.
I know.
They're never going to change.
I really want to do some emails and voicemails, but real quick, Alex, you did an excellent review of the Sony Xperia S. Is it the Sony Xperia S or the Sony Mobile Xperia S?
It's Sony Xperia S. Okay. The company name is Sony Mobile, but yeah, you don't really bother with that.
Gotcha.
So like we were kind of saying before the podcast, the thing that bugs me so much about it, and it's a good phone, don't get me wrong, the hardware is very, very nice, and Sony's gone for a completely different look this time around. They're not chasing the thinnest, lightest phone thing anymore. So, they've got a 4.3-inch device, which is kind of a happy medium between the really massive phones you've seen and some of the smaller devices. 720p screen, which on that size display looks fantastic, and they've got all the Bravia stuff in there, which is really great for video as well. They've got a crazy 12-megapixel camera, so, pretty high-end hardware. Okay, got Snapdragon S3 in there rather than anything more recent, but it's still, high-end stuff. And then you've got Gingerbread, and that is where it all starts to fall apart, I think. So I don't know. I have a hard time recommending this over even some of last year's phones that have already been upgraded to ICS, because you're buying something and out the door you've already got to wait possibly up to 3 months for this update. And that's, like I was saying in the review, where I really think Sony's dropped the ball on this, because they made such an effort last year to be on top of updates, and you're getting minor point releases within a few weeks of them coming out. So yeah, it's a good phone. The hardware's there. Hardware is very good, but the software, I think, like we were saying before, going back to Gingerbread, it's tough.
That review you wrote, by the way, I mean, that's freaking awesome.
Well, thanks.
Just thought I'd point that out. It looks really good. Cool. Everybody read
it. I remember liking the phone at CES. I think it was the CES. Was it CES? Somewhere I saw it. It's the one with the clear band, right?
Yeah, well, one of the ones with the clear band. They've got two others.
Clear band. Yeah.
I hate you, Sony. I hate you, Sony. Well, they hate me. They won't let me buy their phones. I want that phone. I want it bad. Gingerbread and all.
It's too bad those buttons are
the buttons. Yeah,
they look good.
The weird, and I'd show you if I had the phone. I sent it back today, but the way it works, and I explained this in the review, the actual icons for the buttons are in the transparent bar. But if you press the transparent bar and nothing happens, there are no sensors in there. You've actually got these little dots above them, and they're really hard to press. I don't know whether that's just because you're looking for these tiny dots and trying to press them, but it seems to me like the actual contacts are just slightly above where the dots are. So you've got the icon and the dot, and you can't press the icon. You have to press slightly above the dot, and then you end up hitting the screen. And it really, it's not ideal compared to just even just regular capacitive buttons, which is what Sony's had before on devices like the Arc. And it's easy. You press the button, stuff happens. And that just adds an extra layer of having to think about things, which isn't great.
And I remember that. I remember seeing this band. I want to push the band because that's what's
you can't.
out,
and nothing happens if you press the band.
But we're the wrong people to judge that. I mean, Phil, how many phones have you had in your hand this week?
Yes.
And I'll shut up now. Go ahead and talk.
Oh, not to go backwards or anything, but didn't one of those renders have the buttons all switched up again on the Galaxy S3?
The one for today did, the i9300. They switched the back button and the task switcher around. But Samsung phones like this Galaxy Note right here, they have the back button on that one side anyway. So I'm guessing what they've done with the soft buttons is they've just said for consistency, we're going to have back on the right at all time in all of our phones, which makes sense.
Ugh. Stop switching around. Figure it out.
Settled down for a while. It was like the Nexus one had them in one order because that's the way Google wanted it. Everybody else had them in a different order at the time. I mean, here we go again. I'm going to do some emails and voicemails because we got some good ones. And if we didn't get to yours last week when we abruptly took the week off, I apologize. And hopefully we've covered some of your questions. And actually, we might start kind of a ancillary thing. Maybe if I can get Jerry to do it, we'll start answering questions throughout the week, perhaps, because there are a lot of good questions and a lot of good forums out there answering the questions. So actually, to plug what Corey and his people are doing, if you ever have any questions and Phil is just being busy and not writing back, by all means dive into the forums because they have answers there that even I don't. I'll refer you to the forums because that's where they are. So, shall we do some voicemails?
I think
sounds good.
Don't everybody sound so excited. Shall we do some voicemails? Yes. Yay! All right, let's start out with Christopher.
Hey guys, this is for the Android Central podcast. I'm a recent iOS switcher. I had the iPhone since release in 2007. I just switched over to the Galaxy Note, which is amazing. I know a lot of people say it's too big, but I say blasphemy. It's fantastic. Anyways, I also traded my iPad for a Galaxy Tab 10.1, and I'm really digging the Android thing. But I have a question. I'm really looking for an email app. I really like the iOS mail app. I still use a Mac as my daily computer, but I switched my mobile devices over to Android. And I'm looking for something that has, I don't know, maybe some similar or some good functionality for email. I've done a lot of Googling and checked the market, and all the top-rated or top-downloaded mail apps just don't really seem to be what I'm looking for. They seem to have a lot of problems. They can't handle a lot of IMAP messages or, whatever. If you have a recommendation of a good email app, that'll be fantastic. This is Chris from Virginia Beach. Any insight or any info you guys give me would be fantastic. All right, thanks a lot. And I'm really loving Android.
Touchdown, right? I mean, is there anything else worth
That's
recommending?
Exchange
Well,
only.
did he mention, is
only?
he doing Exchange?
He wanted POP, and I think the only email app that you
K9.
can choose is K9, right? And
Right.
everything else.
Yeah. Well, or I tell everybody the first thing is, why not switch to Gmail? If you're going to have an Android phone, nothing is as nice as Gmail on an Android phone.
Except for
If
Exchange.
you can't, well, yeah, if it's a POP account, you can switch. If it's Exchange, you can't. But
Right.
other than that, yeah, I would say K9 as well.
I like Exchange more. I even pay the $6 a month to host it, but that's just me. You're right, Jerry. I mean, it's an Android phone, and Gmail is the way to go if you can. But yeah, K9 is really the only option for POP accounts.
Cool. All right, let's go to our old pal Tony Bag of Donuts.
This is Tony Bag of Donuts from the Android Central forums and Crackberry forums, but this is for the Android Central podcast. I'm having a little bit of trouble at work where my managers are getting annoyed. They're seeing me on my phone or on my Gmail online with my calendar. I don't use Outlook. I have everything going through Gmail. However, they perceive it as me goofing around, for lack of a better term, and being online all the time. And I didn't know if using Google's offline sync was an option, Thunderbird was an option, but I want a way where I can have something open all the time to add events to my calendar, say when I start work in the morning, have it open in the background, offline, enter all the data in throughout the day. At the end of the day, then have it synced up. If something like that was a feature that was available, if there's an app to purchase to sync that, this way I'm not constantly connected to Google servers or Gmail servers for that reason alone. It's been a while since I called in. Hope everyone's having a good new year. Enjoying the great weather we're having up here in the Northeast, and take care. Thanks. Bye.
I tell you, that's a weird one, and it's actually gotten worse with Ice Cream Sandwich now. Is it that like Google Talk works? So I will, sporadically have things show up on Google Talk from Alex or Jerry, even though I've already been talking to them all day, and I haven't quite figured out how that works. But I know exactly what he's saying. Can you maybe set?
You could use Outlook or Outlook Express and have it sync. They make a sync client for that, don't they?
Yeah, or maybe what I would do. I know there's one for Outlook. I don't know about Express. Maybe
does Outlook Express still even exist?
Let's hope.
Well,
not.
whatever it's called now, Live or whatever.
No. I mean, because I used to use it on Outlook when I was on Exchange in my old job. Maybe so if you use Chrome, maybe get Firefox and just put it into offline mode. Can you do that? Maybe. Seriously, and this isn't quite the answer you're looking for, but seriously, I would sit down with your bosses and say, look, I have these things open, for calendar reasons, whatever. I mean, this is not me goofing off. And if they don't believe you, then maybe you've got other issues. That's not the easy answer. I know you want some like tech answer, an app you can keep offline. But the fact of the matter
Wi-Fi off on your phone and use your 3G connection. And tell them where to go.
There's a good idea.
My first thought was start writing up a new resume.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's easy for us to say. It's not our job, but if I had a boss that wasn't, understanding about something like that, and actually, I remember that happening, back in the newspaper, because they would see people with their Facebook things open all day, and it's like, you know what? This is how we communicate now. I have to have Twitter up on my screen all day long. This is part of what I do, and if you don't understand that, let me help you try to understand that, or you do what I do and get the hell out. It's
you're getting your job done and you're productive and you're a good employee, then who cares, right?
That doesn't help Tony with his question.
Right.
Though.
We're absolutely not helping Tony.
So is he wanting to schedule? I kind of miss. Is he trying to schedule his email so it only works or his
Like
calendar.
at the end of the
So
day, like he wants to be able to type stuff in all day long and say, all right, set this for Tuesday at 5, Wednesday at 6, whatever, but not
Okay.
actually sync until the end of the day when he's gone out of the office and, and reconnect to Google services. That's
so
a
can
little
you just
tough.
toggle it, like toggle the synchronization on and off when you're
Not
ready
just
to
on a
do
phone,
that?
not just on a phone though, but on a browser.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to have to use, Outlook or Thunderbird or something. And even
in
probably
offline
Eudora
mode.
has a sync adapter around somewhere.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, but the guy that called in before about the Pop client, I didn't realize that the email app that I use does Pop and IM. It's awesome. Check out Enhanced Email.
Well, damn it. Somebody has to review it now, Corey.
I had to throw that in. Oh, well, I just said, there's my review. It's awesome. Check it out.
Sweet. All right. Let's move on to John.
Hello, my name is John from Detroit. I'm calling with a question for the Android Central podcast. I'm using a Samsung Galaxy S2, and I was using my Google Music at work, listening to a song, and it popped up and said I had too many devices attached to my account, and I needed to remove some of them to continue listening. But when you go onto the Google Play website for devices, it has all the devices I've ever had linked to my account. Is there any way to remove those old devices that I no longer use or even possess from my Android account? Any help would be appreciated. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, so you're actually talking about two different things there, right? And I think he says he's talking about two different things. So on one hand, Google keeps track of every device you've ever synced to its services, and I don't know about you guys, my list is pretty horrendous.
Pretty sure
Yeah.
I actually noticed this in the past few months. If you haven't used a device or if it hasn't been tagged to your account for over a year, it does get rid of it. And I've noticed
really?
that happening quite recently. Yeah,
Ooh.
so there is a limit.
Yes.
I don't know how recent that's been, but there is like a few of mine have started dropping off the end now. So
And as far as I know, you can't actually actively get rid of them now, but you can hide
you
them
can,
from your list.
you can hide them.
Yeah.
And actually,
Sorry, go ahead.
But
I was just going to say, if you hide them, sometimes mine sporadically all come back. Sometimes I still have no idea why it does that.
Huh. I'm looking at Google Music right now, and I have
yeah, it's easy to do with music.
Yeah, just go to the settings. So I have two laptops. Let's see, Logitech Review, Galaxy Tab, the Thunderbolt Nexus one, and two Galaxy Nexi. Although only one of them should be. One of them is probably the old. Let me unauthorize that right now. One of them is probably the old Verizon one that I don't actually have. So, and I forget what the limit is, but yeah, there is a limit to the number of devices you can have synced to Google Music and playback. And that makes sense. That's probably, a consolation they had to make to the labels, which I get. That's fine. Oh, by the way, if you saw the stories this week about supposedly there being a limit to the amount you can stream, technically, supposedly there is one, but apparently only one person has ever hit it. So,
Jerry.
No, but I have the test bed. We're gonna try it over the weekend.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'm gonna try 3 computers and a tablet 24/7 streaming and see if I can hit it.
Hey,
it's
thanks a lot. I guess I won't be using that this weekend.
kind of a non-story as far as I'm concerned. One person gets this page, but whatever. So you can unauthorize them. And interesting, it spells unauthorized like the British might, with an S instead of a Z. How about that? But yeah, I mean, there's not like a big kill from my list that you can't hide them. Okay, last voicemail comes from, where's my tab? There it is, comes from Mel.
Hey guys, this is Mel from the Midwest. Missed your podcast last week, but I know you guys, you need to get out there and enjoy the sunshine. Great stuff. I sort of have 2 questions. I've got an Asus transformer, the original one. Love it. And with the Ice Cube Sandwich update, as usual, something got broken. In the email application, I used to be able to copy and paste a large number of emails into the BCC line and send them out. That even though I can copy them, they will not paste into that small place anymore. And it doesn't seem to pick up my groups from my address books. I don't know if there is a way around that, or if there is another email program that can do that, because I basically send jokes out to people to keep them entertained. The other question is different. When I got the Transformer, I did not have an SD card. So when all the various programs were getting set up, there were options to put stuff on the SD card, and I said no. But now I have a 32-gigabyte one, but I can't seem to find any settings that will allow me to put stuff on that SD card. So whatever you can do to help me figure these things out would be awesome. Keep up the good work, and I'm hoping that in the next day or two, I'm going to get another Android Central podcast. Have a great day.
Woohoo! Well, you are going to get another podcast. I'm not sure you're going to get an answer. I don't know. That's odd.
It happens.
On that?
Okay, I'm composed.
It's maddening, but it happens. Maybe you need to set up your LDAP server so you can connect and get all your contacts and stuff.
Well, but I mean, what would keep him from being able to copy and paste multiple addresses now? Or maybe it's
The
just
phone.
the address? Yeah.
The phone. It's maddening when you go from one phone to another and you can't do stuff like that. What phone does he have?
It's the Transformer.
Transformer?
Prime. Yeah, well, original.
The original Transformer.
Yeah, believe it or not, there's a lot of phones out there that still don't let you do that.
Boo.
It's very frustrating.
Yeah, maybe just try another app if you need to do it that badly. Would be my or try the Gmail in the browser.
Yeah. Oh.
Why not? Worth a shot.
There you go.
Says me. All right, let's do a couple emails and we're out of here. Dennis writes, hey guys, love the show, but this has been bugging the crap out of me. Can we all stop using Android OS code names as their official titles now? I couldn't take the Galaxy Nexus keynote seriously when they kept saying Android 4.0 ice cream sandwich. I don't hear Nintendo talking about Nintendo Cafe Wii U, and this shouldn't be any different. No.
No, I like the names. I'm going to use them. Sorry.
ICS is just way too easy to abbreviate. Jelly Bean.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't call
KLP.
it. I mean, Froyo's Froyo. Gingerbread GB. Just too easy. Sorry. Now, that said, I absolutely feel ridiculous, and I'm pretty convinced that Google does these things to make us sound ridiculous. And if you go back to, I think we get posts on them, and I might have mentioned it, in Mobile World Congress 2011, Eric Schmidt said something like, yeah, so we've got this next version of Android ice cream sandwich or something. I don't know. And basically the tone of voice was, these damn kids. I don't know what they're doing. Whatever. So, nope. Sorry. Got to stick with it. That said, Jelly Bean. One of those things that seemed like a good idea, and they're like, oh, God, what are we going to do for L and Q?
Licorice.
Well,
Yeah.
licorice, sure. That's easy. Nobody's going to spell
It's more.
that.
It's more memorable, isn't it? And
Yeah.
you're more likely to remember a dessert than a number. That's what it comes down to.
Who wants the next one?
It's called the new Android. Sorry.
Ooh.
Ouch. Next email.
All right, I got it. Ted writes, I have two questions after last week's privacy discussion. First, since my browser caches to the SD card, am I potentially sharing copywritten material that I have viewed in my mobile browser? My second question is, does this sharing issue apply just to the SD card or to internal storage as well? Yes, it applies to internal storage as well. It's wherever your default location folder that would be under the DCIM standard is. That folder is wide open for everything to access your pictures. That's just the way it is. And your browser caches to SD card. Are you sharing copywritten material? Why, you certainly are, but it's not your fault. I wouldn't be real concerned about that.
And you're doing the same on a desktop browser, and you always have been. You can't use the internet with. Well, I guess you can, but everyone that uses a browser is caching it somewhere. So technically, yeah, you're copying copyrighted material, but it's not something that's worth worrying about.
There are
right. You're not redistributing it.
Yeah.
There are apps you can get to clear your browser data, or you can do it yourself. I actually did a post back in September last year of how to do it. I remember doing one on YouTube as well. And all I'm saying is there are times where maybe you need to do this. That's all I'm saying. Michael writes, my wife got the Droid Racer Max a few months ago, and the only complaint she has is that she can't really hear the boot up animation. We've looked over the sound settings like media sound, but no luck. Is there any way to increase the sound for the boot up? Not without, I think, actually increasing it. What? What?
So I've never heard of it.
It's a legitimate question. Sort of. Not without, actually increasing the amplitude of the sound file itself, right?
I'm pretty sure on some phones it's based on the media volume setting.
Really?
I don't know if that applies to. Yeah, I don't know if that applies to motor
phones. So
Alex,
you basically just said everything I said in that last sentences there is wrong. That's what you're telling me.
Maybe, yeah. It might be based on the media volume setting, because I've noticed when I've had that all the way down on certain phones, it hasn't played the boot animation. So check
everything I know about Android is a lie. I never thought of that.
Michael, go to the market and download an app that allows you to control your volume. Just get a free one, and it'll break it up. You'll have more options. Make sure that media and just your main volume setting are turned all the way up, and then reboot and see if that doesn't do it.
Do you know how many phones I've borked trying to remove the animation? That's why I laughed.
Well, and actually, that's my question. Why do you need to hear the boot up sound?
There was a phone where you couldn't turn the volume off. I can't remember which one it was. It was
you shouldn't have to reboot that often. I hope you don't. But B, what boot animation is that good that you actually want to hear?
Well, maybe. I'm not
even the Galaxy Nexus.
That could be like their wedding song or something. Who am I to question? I'm sorry, Michael.
The weddings.
But I had one wedding song, and I'm not proud of it. It's not a boot up song, or at least I hope not. But kids can like Nickelback. What's wrong? What?
It'd be cool if you could change it to something else. Customize it to your own personal taste.
Sure. But that gets into something we're not going to get into today.
Okay. All right. Just saying.
All right, that's it, boys and girls. We're done. That's what you get for getting us back after a week off. We're a little crazy. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Android Central. I am at Phil Nickinson. Jerry is at GBHIL. Corey is at C Streeter. Alex is at Alex Doby. We are all on Google+. Just search our names. You can email us at podcast@androidcentral.com as well. You should. We love getting your emails and voicemails. And you know what? You can actually send us voicemails through the email by recording them on your computer. Ooh. And it actually sounds really good when you do it that way. I kind of prefer it. As we are every week, we are brought to you by shopandroid.com, where they have every last accessory you could almost possibly need. And if they don't have it, let us know, and maybe we'll get it, because actually that can happen from time to time. Get them at shopandroid.com or call 888-468-6158. And you can actually leave us a voicemail at that same number if you don't want to go the newfangled computer route. Call that same number, 888-468-6158, extension 222. And I will download it and play it back on the podcast. The end. We're done. We're back.
Yeah.
We're back. I'm sure something will happen. Oh, don't forget, by the way, Google I.O. tickets go on sale on the, 27th, on Tuesday. So if you're planning on going, they're not cheap. They're $900 this year for general admission tickets or whatever. Again, if you're just going to go for free stuff, don't go. Watch them on YouTube. They'll be streaming them. We'll be there. We'll be live blogging. It'll be good. It's going to be epic, though. I was just kidding about the Nickelback thing. I didn't actually play Nickelback in my wedding.
You didn't?
You can probably buy the device on eBay for $900 that you would have gotten for free.
Anything they release is
sleep in
going to be
your
less
own
than 900.
It was Coldplay at my wedding. That was the one song I had. It was 3 days after.
Coldplay. Sing it. Let's hear you.
No, there's no electricity. It was bad. It was a bad experience. I had to dance to Coldplay. Me dancing is bad. Me dancing to Coldplay, not good. Not good at all. That's it. We're done. See you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.